This is the biggest and only thing that you should be doing today in 2024 as a startup sportswear brand to get ahead of the competition. And long story short, this is the fact that you should be niching down as a brand. So, what is niching down? How does one do it? What are some tangible examples of brands that have actually niched down and how they've actually gained success? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be discussing on today's episode. So, without further ado, we'll get right into it. Let's try to understand first. A niche is a specific subset of a larger industry. So within the sportswear space, one might say that sportswear is a niche in and of itself of apparel in general, right? Then if we go down into sportswear, you have performance gear, you have athleisure, you have activewear, you have yoga wear, but we can go more and more niche down. For performance wear, perhaps we have gym focused apparel that's for the bodybuilding bros. Maybe we have something that's specifically for the powerlifting bros. So this is the idea of how to niche down. And you can even niche down further. For example, you might have powerlifting gear specifically for competitors where you only create specific items that are approved by powerlifting competitions and you specifically gear towards those certifications. And that is an example of a niche in a niche in a niche in a niche. Most brands essentially fail because they don't have a niche. They try to compete with the big brands out there, and typically they try to do this on price. So I've had the pleasure of working with thousands of brands over the last 7 years that my agency Fittdesign has been in business. And the number one thing that I see is that most brands come in and they say, Shadi, we want to create a ASRV lookalike or an athlete lookalike or a Gymshark lookalike, and we want to compete on price. We want to make the same quality, but we want to make it cheaper. So we want to offer more or the same, but we want to make it for cheaper. And what these companies fail to realize is the fact that the economics don't work out. So if you look at the big brands, they have the leverage to go after suppliers with larger minimum orders, but allow themselves to get a better price per unit and get access to quality fabrics, quality trims, quality designs, and they are able to do this and then charge the price that they want. You, as a startup brand, cannot go in there and offer the same product, but offer it at a cheaper price because you're not going to be able to make that product. And even if you are able to make that product, believe me when I say that you will not have the margins necessary to succeed. And in any business, you need to have profit margins in order to scale the business, in order to make sure that it's profitable. So, what is the solution to this? The solution here is niching down because when you niche down, you sort of take yourself out of the large competitive landscape and you narrow down your focus. When you narrow down your focus, sure, you may limit your market, but you also end up limiting your consumers, or sorry, you end up limiting your competition, and you allow yourself to be very focused on who your consumers are. So, what are the major advantages of niching down? Well, number one is you're able to offer a more premium and focused product and obviously charge a premium price for that. Because if you're the only one or a set of very, very few people that are offering a great solution to a very narrow and defined problem, then chances are consumers can only come to you and only you for that specific solution. So whether it's you offer plant-based products specifically for vegan powerlifting athletes that want powerlifting gear that only is made out of bio-based materials. At that point, most likely, if you've done the research, if you found the market, if you've done the supply chain correctly, you're the only one or one of very, very few that is able to offer that specific product in the market. That's going to give you a much better return on your ads, right? Because you're the only one or one of few who is actually bidding for those specific keywords, or you're one of few who actually has those kinds of pages up on your blogs, up on your website. So your SEO is going to be much more effective. All of these things are going to allow you to be that much more effective for every single dollar that you put into the machine of your business. So how does one actually select a niche? Well, I'll give you my personal experience. I started off with Fittdesign, actually looking into what I was passionate about. I was studying architecture in the university, and at the same time, I was massively into fitness. I used to go to the gym, just like every single college bro that you know. And I wanted to find a way to merge my two passions together, which was fitness and design. And that's essentially how I came up with Fittdesign. So find something that you are genuinely interested in, right? Because if you're interested, you're going to be able to look at that market and evaluate what is the necessary or what are the needs of that market and how, if I can, how can I solve for those needs? Because if you're a consumer of that specific product and you notice a gap in that market, you're definitely going to be able to come up with number one, the problem, and then also the solution. So a great example of this might be if you're a boxer. and you notice that there's a specific type of performance apparel that is not available for boxers. Most likely, you know and understand what competition is in this space, so you have that insight. At the same time, you also understand what the daily needs of boxers are in their training, even outside of their training. What do they need? What do they need in terms of their accessories, their supplementation, their lifestyle habits? All these things give you necessary insights to be able to extract key data points to solve for X and then find what Y is. So once you've identified the niche, now it's time to research the market. Now it's time to look into the market, see what the competition is doing, and see what problems exist that actually can be solved. So let's just say, for example, you're a streetwear brand, and you notice that there's a specific subset of the population that is not catered to, perhaps plus size or perhaps a specific type of body. Those kinds of garments don't necessarily fit to those body types. So now this presents a unique opportunity for you to come in and provide the products that actually satisfy that untapped or that unmet need. Next, you need to understand your typical customer's pain points, or you need to essentially create your customer avatar through psychographics and demographics. Demographics are the typical things, right? Their age, where they live, are they college educated? Their psychographics are the things that they like, their habits, their spending habits. So what type of art, what type of music they're into, you're sort of creating a persona for your customer. By creating a persona, you're able to understand your customer's pain points and then also create and cultivate a product that is meant to solve those pain points. That customer persona will also play into the idea that now you have a targeted and focused way to message your customer and to speak to them so that your problem or your solution can actually be communicated to them in a way that they understand and they can internalize. There's a difference between the language that you might use on a powerlifting brand versus a yoga wear brand. With a powerlifting brand, you might be a little bit more aggressive. You might be a little bit more technical. With a yoga wear brand, you may focus on the holisticness of fitness. So each persona will have a specific way that you approach and a specific way that you actually communicate with. Now you need to validate your niche. So validating your niche means that you focus on creating a prototype or a product and you see how that niche responds to that product. So let's just say you're creating modest activewear. So this is activewear specifically for people who are of faith, Islamic faith, let's just say, for example. So hijabs, sports hijabs, with a specific way of articulating that design. Maybe you create a prototype, maybe you get a focus group together, you see what their pain points are, you see how they respond to it, you see even if the market is responding to your product in a way that you intend. Also, you validate your niche in the sense of you make sure that your niche is capable of paying the prices you want to pay, they're large enough to sustain your business, and also there's enough growth potential to plot out the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, because as you grow into your niche, you may also want to focus on how that business structure evaluates and develops over time. Lastly, you need to look at the competition. You need to look at specific gaps in the market that your competition are not actively serving. So perhaps you're in the headwear space and you notice that a lot of competition is actually not focusing on functional fabrics. Perhaps they're a little bit outdated in their fabric approach or what they're offering. Perhaps they're not offering specific headwear for a variety of different head types, or they're not offering specific headwear for a specific region that requires a more intense form of UPF protection, so on and so forth. By looking at the competition, you're also able to see what is not being currently served or what needs are not currently being met in the market. So if you're still wondering, should I niche down? The question is not should I niche down? It is how should I niche down? Why should I niche down? And also, what niche should I take? Niching down really allows you to focus on offering a product that is currently not being sold in the market, that allows you to stand out, to create a bunch of different USPs, that's going to make it that much easier to communicate with your customers and to acquire your customers, and also to charge them the premium types of prices that you need as a business, especially as a small business, in order to scale long term. So if you agree, consider smashing a massive thumbs up. And if you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Do you think that you should go more broad in the market? You should try to go after everyone, try to offer the best possible product for the lowest price that appeals to everyone? Or should you be very focused in the beginning with your consumers and sort of use that as a stepping stone then to potentially build into a larger consumer base, similar to what Nike's done, right? In the beginning, they may have only started off offering running shoes specifically to running athletes, and then obviously they've transitioned over time to be able to offer a wider range of shoes and then a wider range of products, adding accessories, adding garments, adding a variety of different items, all through the ability to scale and to grow over time. So let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree. Guys, I say this from the very bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fit Design TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.